Hello everyone. Today I wanted to share with you my customer thank you cards for the month of July. Now this is a cased card and I'll give you more details on where you can actually find the original works of art. But without further ado, let's get stamping. Hello everyone. So these lovely cards that you see here are Where Eastern Beauty Meets Lift Me Up. Now these are my customer thank you cards for the month of July. So anytime you place an order with me, whether it's in my online store or through a workshop or a private class, I always put a thank you, some sort of thank you card inside of your bag as a free gift and a token of my appreciation for placing an order. And each card will be different for every month. So this is the card that I decided to feature. It is not my idea, but so I have to give credit where credit is due. And her name is Katie from the Stampin Shed, and I've linked her her blog down below. There's also another demonstrator. Her name is Alyssa Tilsner from alyssatilsner.com. I've linked her information down below as well because she actually cased this off of Katie. Found it on Pinterest, but with permission, I was able to get permission to create this video. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and tell you what you're going to need for this this card. So first, you're going to need the Lift Me Up stamp set. And of course, I've already featured it in a previous video. It comes with clear mount stamps, which I've already assembled and put onto my acrylic blocks. You will need acrylic blocks for this project. And I also took, any sentiment is fine, but I took the Hello from, I think, one of my paper pumpkins. It was the one, I think, in October, November last year. It had like Thanksgiving cards in it. So that's the sentiment I used for this one. You're also going to need cardstock. So I'm going to show you how to cut a piece of cardstock, but right now this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of crumb cake. You're going to need a piece of Whisper Right in 6.25 by 3.25 inches. You're going to need a little scrap piece of crumb cake for the heart. You're also going to need a piece of fresh fig that measures at 5.5 by 2 inches. And another little piece of white for your banner, which is 2.5 inches by 1 inch. Of course, my handy dandy bone folder, the banner punch. You're going to need some Snail Adhesive, some glue dots, quite a bit of adhesive for this one, and some Dimensionals. So I'm going to add this in. You're going to need a Stampin Trimmer to cut your cardstock. And I forgot to take them out the case, but you're going to need some rhinestones for this project that you're going to attach to the bigger balloon. You're also going to need dies for this. So specifically, this is the Up and Away set, Thinlits set, and I'm using the big balloon, the little balloon, and of course the little heart. And then on the Eastern Medallion set, I'm using, as you can see here, it's lagging a little bit, y'all. I'm using 3 of the circles. The middle circle, specifically the one with the diamonds in it. And then the middle piece, as you can see there. So those are all the dies that you're going to need for this project. You're also going to need the big shot for this project as well. So let's put everything to the side and we're going to go ahead and create our card. So I'm going to take my Stampin Trimmer and I'm going to cut my 8.5 by 11 inch sheet of cardstock in half. use my scoring blade and score at 4 1/4. You can see the score line there. And now I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to burnish the crease in my card. So let's set that to the side. And now I forgot to mention earlier, but you're going to need ink, of course. So specifically for this project, I use Fresh Fig, Crumb Cake, and Daffodil Delight. However, just like Alyssa and I think her name is Linda, she also cased a card. They did it in different colors like Lemon Rum Twist and powder pink and stuff like that. So it's really up to you what you decide. So now I'm going to take my Snail Adhesive and adhere it to my card base. Alright, so we've attached that. And now we're going to go ahead and stamp. So I'm going to, like I mentioned in my very first video, I always love to have my Stampin' Pierce mat. So I'm going to go ahead and in Crumb Cake, I'm going to stamp a background onto this card. So as you can see here, you have like balloons and you have the big cloud and the little clouds in the background. And I just stamped those randomly all over the backdrop of the card. So as you can see here, I'm just stamping the crumb cake onto the card in random spots. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take the big cloud and we're going to stamp it in the spaces between the balloons. And it is okay to stamp off of your card as well, like half of your stamp is on and half of your stamp is off. So now I'm going to take my little cloud and then in those remaining open spaces, I'm going to stamp. What's really neat about the using the same color on your cardstock, it gives it a different kind of feeling or effect. So when you use the same color ink on the same color cardstock. So now I'm going to go ahead and just get all my stamping out of the way. I'm going to stamp my sentiment onto my little piece of Whisper White. And I'm kind of going to gauge where to put it. Just make sure that you put it over enough where when you put it in the banner punch, that it's not going to cut off the end part of your sentiment. Alright, so now we're going to take our Fresh Fig and our Daffodil Delight, and we're going to, on that big piece of Whisper White, we're going to stamp our balloons. Now you're going to stamp it closer to the bottom because the thing is, to save time, I use my Big Shot to die cut all of the images out on the same sheet instead of doing one by one. So now you're going to just stamp your balloons. So the main color will be the big balloon. And then your coordinating color, which is my Daffodil Delight, will be the little balloon. So I just have to clean my stamp off because I stamped it in Crumb Cake earlier. So I'm just cleaning my stamp. So now we're going to take our Daffodil Delight and we're going to stamp it onto our cardstock. Beautiful. I'm just going to clean my stamps real quick. Close my ink pads. And now we're just going to line up all of our dies onto our page. And like I mentioned earlier, it saves time when you cut everything out if you can stamp everything on one sheet and then cut it out at the same time. Also, don't forget that when you do stamp your balloons, you want to make sure that you stamp them slightly away from each other so that way you don't have the problem that I'm having right now where they're so close together. Then I'm going to take my sticky notes because of course I don't have the magnetic platform yet. It's coming though, it's coming. So I'm just lining all of my dies up and putting sticky notes on them so that way they don't move when I get to my big shot and start to cut them out. So we're just going to go ahead and run this through our machine, and I'll be right back. Alright, and I'm back. So here are all the pieces we're going to need to start adhering to our card. But before we get to that, we're going to go ahead and trim our little piece of Whisper White with our banner punch. So flipping it over and being careful and mindful of where the words are. I'm going to put it in there upside down. I like to be able to see where the last letter is on my sentiment, and then I punch it out. We're going to begin to adhere all the pieces onto our card. So first, starting out with the Eastern Medallion die cut, we're going to place some dimensionals onto the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a big one in the middle. It is going to show on the other side, but we're going to cover it up so we won't have to worry about that. And now what I'm going to do is use the edge. I'm going to cut off a few of the edge pieces because they fit perfectly in those little white, in the biggest white spots on the die part. And I'm going to put about 3 of them around, spacing them out so that way the outside of the die cut will be adhered to the card. We're just going to remove the backs and then place this where you want it on your card. Now I did this card like landscape style, but you can do it portrait style as well. It's just up to you what kind of design you want. So I'm going to go ahead and take my glue dots and glue down the big balloon, and I'm going to place it onto the die, the Eastern Medallion die cut. And I'm going to place it in a way not fully onto the circle, but where it's kind of coming off of the circle, if that makes sense. Now I'm going to place another dimensional onto the little balloon, and I'm going to go ahead and adhere that to the card as well. I'm going to place this closer to the center of the medallion. So now it's time for us to insert our banner. Now I actually stamped it a little too far over, but that's okay because all I'm going to do is just cut it down a little bit, and then I'm going to take a few glue dots and I'm going to stick it behind the yellow balloon. You can make the banner any length you want it. And now we're going to adhere our heart to the card. So I'm taking a few more glue dots, and then I'm going to place it down where I want it. Alright, we're almost done. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our rhinestones and then place them on top of the balloon. Now don't mind me, I don't have the piercing tool yet, so on my list of things to buy. We're gonna see who's winning this battle. Looks like the rhinestones winning the battle. I have the hardest time picking these things up, even with nails. But we're gonna just place them on top of our big balloon. This rhinestone just does not want to go. It does not want to cooperate. And I dropped it. But it's okay, I'll just grab another one. I see where it fell, I'll just put it on at the end. Alright, I think that took the longest. But anyways, here is the finished product. And as you can see, the banners are kind of different sizes, but it's all up to you. You can even change the colors. And the inside is left blank. I will write a personalized note on a separate sheet and just stick it in the card so that way they can reuse the cards. If you like the card and the design in this tutorial, be sure to hop on over to my blog, thecraftsergeant.com, where you'll find the measurements and a list of materials that we used today. Also, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching and happy stamping!